Hello, and welcome to the Santaland podcast. I created it just for you. I'm your host, Tony Felice. In each episode, I'll read to you for 10 minutes, and then we'll talk about what we just heard. Like the cricket in my story, I'll guide you through a grown-up fairy tale, one that explores ideas of existence, identity, and the soul's journey through trauma, and the transformative power of love. By the end, you'll have heard my whole story, a sneak peek into the creative process of bringing a book to life. Maybe we'll read other books together. But for now, follow the wise cricket and discover the Santaland within yourself, a place of hope, connection, and peace that's already inside of you. This podcast is especially made for those like me who feel a little different and maybe talk about math at weddings or philosophy at funerals. And like me, maybe you have a loving husband, or a wife, or somebody else that loves you. If not, we're here to love you, because you're in good company, my dear friends, here in Santaland. Hello, and welcome to the Santaland podcast. You might be here because you're curious. You might be here because you think any number of things. Whatever they are, I am so glad that you're here. Why did I do this book? And why am I doing a podcast? I'm doing a podcast first, I'll tell you, because I want to reach my audience in as many ways as I can. My voice has always brought me luck and work and sometimes clients. I am recording this from my home. I wanted to talk to you directly and share with you directly this creation. I brought it together to address probably a lot of the wounds inside me, and at the same time to spread love, because that is the essential component of this book. You will go on a journey with this character, and there are clues here, so you got to pay attention. And it won't take a long time. I think we'll spend maybe 12 minutes per episode, maybe 25 minutes per episode. It depends. What I really am hoping to do is involve you in the creative process as I continue through the creative process. While the book is finished, I'm working with a copy editor, and I'm going to be bringing this published work to you as soon as I can. I have lots of ideas in store. You'll learn about what some of those ideas are on other podcasts as we go forward. But in the meantime, I want you to sit back and relax, and I want you to imagine that you're one of these characters, and you are on a journey of discovery, just like I was so long ago. So without further ado, let me share my art with you, and I'd love to hear from you. You let me know what you think. But one last note, and that is, this is my story, right? So nothing is ever meant to offend or to titillate in any way, except to just bare my soul and put it into my art, and use the authority that I have to be able to do such a thing. You know, I have read a lot of books, and I've been a lot of places, and I've done a lot of things. And so my perspective, I think, is a pretty big one. But that's just my perspective. Everybody has their own. And that's sort of the point of going on this experience together, is to learn from each other and to expand our perspectives by listening to each other. So without further ado, let's begin the first chapter of my book. The first page is the dedication page for Tim and Tom, and of course my mama. The players: Tom Sanders, a writer; David Sanders, Tom's husband; Claire Garrison, Tom's sister; Carson Garrison, Tom's brother-in-law; Meredith Harper, Tom's editor; Kelly Walton, one of the five; Corrine Fong, one of the five; Maria Hernandez Holding, one of the five; Rosie Budney, the housemaid; a cricket, the narrator. These are the players in the first part of the novel. We are in the season of Christmas. Chapter 1. This is a fairy tale, spelled T-A-I-L, with a little cricket illustration next to it. Dearly beloveds, hello, Merry Christmas. I'm so glad that you're here. It'll mean big things for you, as you'll soon find out. But before we begin, though, introductions are in order. So if I may, I'll begin by explaining who I am and where we're going. Look over here, please. Yes, on the counter. Yoo-hoo, over here. See? Yes, I am quite small. That's my advantage, though I suppose some may argue differently and find me insignificant. By other measures, though, I am quite large in stature, as I'm quite a symbol in many cultures. That's the nature of being the cricket in this tale. I serve many purposes than to simply chirp. And my song, it can only be heard by some, and that accounts for something. And I have a responsibility, you see. My job is to make sure you are greeted and shown your way around. Santa has asked me specifically to perform many tasks in this tale. My first task was Tom. My second is you. I'm to usher you to Santaland. But we must first visit through the story I'm about to tell. I cannot take you there physically because that's against the rules. Santaland, you must understand, it's really magic. Sort of like the North Pole, but different. You can go there on this adventure with me in the pages of this book. And if you're lucky, you'll discover the secret to wishing that takes you to Santaland, so that you can go there yourself one day, when you're ready. Think of this story as sort of a map. And that's the thing about maps. They always find the adventurer in time, don't they? Just like the teacher shows up when the student is ready. I appeared when you were ready. Now our journey starts with a story about one person, as all great stories do. And of course, the friends that they meet along the way. They're just as important, you know. If you look closely through this portal in the pocket watch I carry, you can see him working away at his desk in front of an enormous window looking out to sea. This is our Tom. We will learn a lot about how he deals with tragedy and with beauty. It is said that the true measure of a person is in what magic they can create. This is one of those stories. Tom will take a journey like so many others, stretching back eons and eons. They wake up, and right before they do, they change the world with one small thing. One little token that moves love forward in the world. It causes thousands of you to step off the naughty list into the light, like stepping off a rail before the train arrives. That's magic. And love. The funny thing about magic is that real magic cannot exist without love. Did you know that? But love, it can exist without magic. Sad, I know. How? Why, that's a secret. What I will tell you, however, it is one of the ways that you unlock the portal to Santaland. But it often means that it breaks you first, or it scares you so much that you wake up and see the world differently. Same as Tom. The key is to keep going, no matter how scary. You see, when you start to really love yourself, that's when the bad stuff from the past comes up again, just when you thought it was over, and you have to deal with it. And it's quite difficult for some. But keep going. It's true, the world is full of scary things, but that's where courage comes in. In your world, contrast is necessary to emphasize darkness from light. As you'll see, poor Tom will draw upon all the faith that he has. But you mustn't be afraid. In fact, did you know that my favorite African proverb is this? All things that make noise at the side of the path do not always come down the path. Get it? The path. For some, it leads them to the naughty list. For others, it takes them to the nice list where they unravel the parts of themselves that cling to this world. And when they do, they wake up, just like Tom did so long ago. They realize why they're in the upside-down world and what their job is truly all about. Maybe your path will take you straight to Santaland. Who knows? Nonetheless, I am here to show you the way. The path to Santaland is paved with more than good intentions, but it is possible to get lost. So hear my voice. It's the voice you'll hear in the pages that follow. They're mine, though it's really Tom's story to tell. He's written it beautifully. I'm just the narrator of sorts, among other things. In the pages that follow, their thoughts look like this, in italics. So let's draw back. The curtain is unfolding to reveal a story we must view from afar. Curious? Wonderful. Now look at my watch. Time is slipping by. See it spin? Let's begin. Chirp. Okay, so that's chapter 1. Questions. What's going on? Well, we've just been, at Christmas time, we've been greeted by a cricket. And the cricket will be the narrator for the entire tale. Why did I do that? As a writer, my choice was to do that so that the cricket's hyperbole and poetry could be fully the crickets, so that you might form a deeper relationship with the main character who's about to appear. This way, I can be as poetic and as creative as I want with the cricket, without over-authorizing the author. Does that make sense? He has his own poetry, and that's reserved for different places that you'll find in the book. But I wanted the humor, especially when we cover the more darker subjects. I wanted the humor to come from the cricket, so that we always feel like the cricket is guiding us through the whole story and its relevance. So, what else did I want to say? We will be hearing previous recordings I made during the development of this. I'm one of those artists whose head spins off in a lot of ways, especially, if I'm trying to create something and I'm in the middle of a lot of stress, a lot of trauma, as I was after my mom passed away. And while I funneled into this art, I wanted to make sure that I was fully investigating the ideas that are in here. Some of the ideas are philosophy. There's some math ideas here, and there's some little secrets that I sort of share with you without actually telling you what they are, for fun, not to be a jerk, of course, but to have a little bit of fun and to help you with a roadmap that you have to discover on your own. So there are some secrets in here and some Easter eggs. Some of the chapters are named in such a way that it, you'll have to guess, is it explaining what's happening now, or is it foreshadowing for what's to come, or is it circular reference is a big thing for me and for the character in this book. What do I mean by circular reference? Well, for an author, we kind of want to have a hypothesis, and a hypothesis must include a conclusion, right? We have a big idea. In marketing, in branding, you have to have a big idea. Like, what's the big idea around this sneaker? Not just that the sneaker is wonderful, but what's the big idea around it? And the big idea around this book is something I want you to discover. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now. I want to kind of keep the early dialogue fresh, as far as my thoughts go, without giving you too many spoilers. So I think I'm going to insert right here a place where my head is spinning off and I'm having a conversation with my other half about elements of the book. So stand by.
You're kind of talking about where you go. Like,
I'm introducing the fact that this person's mind wanders all over the place.
Right.
Okay? So you have to go through it.
Right.
Because you need to go through a journey of this person's mind.
Right.
He's going to forget to go back to something. He's going to leave something unfinished. I have to create the brilliance, but the madness and the eccentricity, because this is writing. It's not. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I'm telling you, right. He looks scrabbled and disheveled. And no, I want you to feel it, and I want that character's personality to emerge.
Right.
Even if it looks like there are errors in writing.
So you know why I like it?
What's that?
Because of that very fact. I know you're not trying to write poetry, but
Right.
it's poetic. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're
But it's purposeful.
It's purposeful, but the thing is that it's making it stick.
Right. Right.
Okay?
Good. Well, good. That was the whole point, was make it stick. You know,
How do you have insight to how somebody
Right.
about somebody?
right.
You know what I mean? You could just put flashcards up.
Of course you could. Of course you could. And so I run a calculated risk of sharing this art with anyone until I've got it to the place where I think I've covered all my nuts, or whack-a-mole. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm thinking about this. Like when I was earlier, when I said this wasn't a joyful experience for me, it wasn't because of how you were responding to my art. It was because there was a failure somewhere that needed to be corrected so that I could get from you the magic you have to bring me, which is not to be tired, which is not to be frustrated or to not know where you're at. So I've learned a couple things. One, I have to tighten it up. I have to read it myself and tighten it up before I share it with you, because I know you, and I don't want your mind wandering because you can't figure out who I'm on the phone with, because you need to know that as well as other people. Some people can read ahead and get that answer and go, okay, because they can think about 2 things or 5 things or 100 things at once, but not everybody can. So that I learned. Okay. Then I also learned how you like to absorb this in quiet. So we should do it in the bedroom where it's quiet and there are not going to be any distractions. Okay. So I learned those 2 things. And then the other thing is that you stopped to share with me an insight about my character that I am hoping someone will discover. And you have. So I know I'm right. The only person I need to bounce my ideas off is you. As great as anybody else is, they're coming into the middle of my story. And you came into the middle of my story at 40 years old, but you've been here. And then in the last, since 2016, we've been by each other's side 24 hours a day, nonstop, every single day of the week. So your opinion is the most valid because you've seen all the colors of me. Yeah. So thank you for pointing that out. So what's happening here are 2 things that you're about to experience. One, I don't want to tell you what you're about to experience, but if there are errors in my writing, so you don't get the point, it's just so you don't skip over things. All I'm doing here is giving you a peek into my mind and giving David a chance to defend me in my absence.
Gotcha.
While revealing more about himself and Meredith revealing more about herself.
I'm always trying to be careful when I read, because you could put a word in there,
right.
that word has a very, very direct meaning.
Yeah.
And if I miss it, you know what I mean? That doesn't help you.
And that's going to help me because I'll know, oh shit, I needed to close these gaps. And I made the mistake of thinking that you've been doing this so long, you can gloss over those mistakes. So I'm going to ask you to just plow through 5 and 6. Mm-hmm. And then I promise you that tomorrow I will give you a more thought out and cleaned up pages to read.
I appreciate that, but I don't expect you to.
I know, but I want to produce the best work possible, and it's tedious to me if I haven't set myself up for success.
No, and I understand. And if you don't mind, like you said, like how you said to make sure I change the name if I realize the name, like if you accidentally say Tony or something like that.
Right.
But if I catch like a word that, like is missing a letter or something like that,
Uh-huh.
I'm just doing it
Good.
for you, okay?
Thank you.
I won't do anything that will distract me from the story.
Right,
okay?
but you're fixing typos? Fuck yeah.
I'm just, just as I catch them.
That's helpful. Thank you. So I wanted to share that with you because that's sort of a fun dialogue that I get to have with my other half, who is so indulgent. He is probably my biggest fan. But he tells me the truth, and he sees things Tim is a very logical person. I am a much more poetic person. I mean, we both come at the same place from logic, but I'm more flow and he's more directive, if that makes any sense. So his perspective is incredibly valuable for me because there are other people who read the book who are going to feel that way as well. So that was just a fun little insert for you guys to hear a little bit of behind the scenes of what it takes to bring a book to life and to really engage with another person to help make that creative as good as it can be. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for being part of the Santaland podcast. I cannot wait until we move on to the next episodes. Take care.